Hello, good afternoon. This is Belsa Piatto, and this is Cooking with Belsa Piatto. Today we're going to talk about cakes. Who doesn't love cakes? People love cakes. I love cakes and I love baking cakes. Now when it comes to cakes, there are 1,001, in fact there are 1,000,001 recipes of cakes. Once you know the basics of cakes, you can be able to make variety of cakes. In fact, like I always tell people, if you want to make garlic cake, you can make garlic cake. You just need to know the basics of making cakes. Now, today we're going to be talking about red velvet and chocolate cake. People love red velvet cakes. It is tangy, sweet, and the color is just beautiful. Now, when we're making red velvet cakes, there are different recipes. There are recipes that call for butter, or there are recipes that just call for vegetable oil. I love to use vegetable oil in making some of my cakes because it makes the cake really moist. When you want to have that moist, beautiful texture, you use butter. And then sometimes you use butter and oil. Why should you use butter and oil? It gives a beautiful, texture. While using just butter, you risk having a very dry cake. But when you add oil, vegetable oil together with the butter, you have a moist, soft, cakey, buttery flavor for your cake. And then there's something else I want to talk about that we're going to use for making our red velvet cake, and it's called buttermilk. You could buy buttermilk in the store, or you could make your own buttermilk at home. How would you make your own buttermilk? Milk and vinegar, or milk and lemon. Simple. No need to go, looking around the stores, where could you get buttermilk, or you don't have buttermilk, and so on. Now, why do we use buttermilk? Buttermilk is tangy, makes the cake tangy and creamy, and it also makes the cake extremely moist. What is more, buttermilk activates baking soda to be able to live in the cake. So now, let's go straight to making our red velvet cake and our chocolate cake. For our red velvet cake, I have already made a mixture of the dry ingredients. And the dry ingredients consisted of 3 cups. The dry ingredients consisted of 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1.5 cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon baking soda, 1 teaspoon fine salt, 1 teaspoon cocoa powder, 1.5 cup of vegetable oil, using the wet ingredients, 1 cup of buttermilk, 2 large eggs, 2 tablespoons red food coloring, white distilled vinegar 1 teaspoon, and then 1 teaspoon of vinegar. That's for the wet ingredients. And so what I did was to sieve all my dry ingredients together, the flour, the baking soda, the salt, the cocoa powder, the sugar, together in one bowl. And then I kept the wet ingredients also in another bowl. Now the wet ingredients, like we said, is the egg, the buttermilk, the vinegar, the food coloring, and the vegetable oil. And so what we just have to do now is to mix, pour wet into dry. I would love you to see how I do that and what it looks like after we have put the wet into the dry ingredients. So this is it. Okay. So this is what it looks like. And then we're now going to stir. So this is exactly what it looks like when the ingredients have been well combined. Now it's ready to go into the baking pans for baking. So now we're going to talk about the chocolate cake. The chocolate cake, here I've already mixed my dry ingredients and my wet ingredients. And for the dry ingredients, I had 2 cups of granulated sugar, 1 3/4 cups of flour, all-purpose flour, 3/4, that's 3/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. I had 1½ teaspoon of baking soda, 1½ teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 eggs, 1 cup of milk, ½ cup of vegetable oil, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and then 1 cup of hot water. So I separated the dry ingredients from the wet ingredients, like I said. And so we are also going to put the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. And I'm going to show you how beautiful that looks even before it gets baked. So this is what it looks like. Sorry, I already poured it into the tin. After it has been combined, this is what it looks like. So here we have it. We have the chocolate cake batter and then the red velvet butter.
Hi everybody.
So I have an assistant here. That's my little princess. Yeah, so she's going to fill the muffin pans for the cake. She's going to fill the muffin pans. Kitchen work, you know, baking is so beautiful with my angel by my side. Yeah, so let's fill the muffin pans now. So this is what it looks like when it's combined for the chocolate cake. This is exactly what it looks like after we've combined it. And here we have filled the muffin pans with red velvet butter. We're now going to fill these muffin pans with the chocolate butter. Also, yes, they're ready to be thrown into the oven. So our red velvet cake and our chocolate cake is ready. And we have piped it with whipping cream. Just look how beautiful. Did you see that deep red color? So beautiful. Mm-hmm.